Something happened in China. That wasn't supposed to happen. Two professors, real names, real photos, signed a public manifesto calling on students to reject the rule of the Chinese Communist Party. Not anonymously, not in secret. They posted it online with their full identities attached. In a country where even mild criticism of the state can lead to disappearance, this is beyond rare. It's historic. The women are Ying and Shuangyan, both faculty members at South China University of Technology, a top university in Guangzhou. The document they signed was titled The Chinese Youth Manifesto, a fiery yet eloquent call for students to awaken politically. It doesn't just criticize policy, it urges the end of authoritarian rule. The manifesto has one central warning. If you don't stand up today, you will become the next victims of history tomorrow. For China, this isn't just dissent, it's defiance. In late April 2025, something rare occurred inside China's tightly controlled academic system. Two women, Ying and Shuangyan, both professors at South China University of Technology in Guangzhou, made their names public in a signed political manifesto. This wasn't a leak. It wasn't an anonymous blog post. It was deliberate, official, and personal. They published their full names, photos, and institutional affiliations alongside a document now circulating internationally under the title, The Chinese Youth Manifesto. Their message? It was not mild criticism. It was a direct call for change. They urged students to rise up against a system built on lies and violence, their words, and to push for democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. The document warns, if you don't stand up today, you'll be the next victims of history tomorrow. It's a reference that immediately triggered memories of past Chinese protests and tragedies. But what made this moment even more striking was the fact that both women were full-time professors, employed at one of China's top-tier research universities, not political dissidents or exiles abroad. They acted from within the system. And in modern China, that's a line very few dare to cross. In China, political speech doesn't need to be loud to be dangerous. Even quiet, principled dissent, especially from educated insiders, is treated as a direct challenge to state authority. So when two professors at a state-funded university break ranks, it doesn't just raise eyebrows, it activates alarms. And the response was immediate. Within hours of the manifesto gaining attention on LinkedIn, Chinese internet censors began scrubbing the names Ying and Shuangyan from domestic search engines. Mentions of the manifesto vanished on WeChat. On Weibo, posts related to the letter were deleted in real time. Inside China's borders, it was as if the entire event never happened. But outside the firewall, the story was already spreading. International academics, Chinese diaspora communities, and human rights organizations picked it up quickly. For many, this wasn't just about two individuals. It was a question. Can anyone inside China still speak freely? This isn't the first time students and professors in China have tried to speak out. In the spring of 1989, tens of thousands of students filled Tiananmen Square in Beijing. They came from all over the country, many inspired by professors and intellectuals, to demand political reform, freedom of expression, and accountability. At the time, China was entering a period of economic opening, but political openness never followed. What began as peaceful mourning for a reform-minded leader quickly escalated into a nationwide call for change. And the government's answer was brutal. On the night of June 3rd into the morning of June 4th, tanks rolled into the capital. Troops opened fire on unarmed citizens. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, were killed. The exact number is still unknown. To this day, the Chinese Communist Party denies that any massacre took place. The phrase June 4th is banned on social media. Textbooks omit the event entirely. Online, images are blurred or blocked. Offline, it's simply not spoken about. And yet, when Ying and Shuangyan signed their names beneath a message warning students not to become the next victims of history, they were pointing directly, unmistakably, to Tiananmen. They didn't say it. They didn't have to. What makes this moment different isn't just the message, it's who is delivering it and where they're speaking from. Ying and Shuangyan aren't activists abroad or underground dissidents. They're academics, professors trusted with teaching China's next generation of scientists, engineers, and thinkers. They work at a top-tier state university, the kind of institution that is expected to stay apolitical and loyal to party narratives. That's what makes this so dangerous for them and so significant for the country. In recent years, China has seen sporadic bursts of protest from factory workers, from tech employees, even from young people during the 2022 White Paper movement. But this is something different. It's not a crowd. It's not a chant. It's a calm, deliberate stand from within the elite. And it forces a question the party has worked hard to avoid. What happens when educated insiders stop believing? Because when the loyal speak out, it's harder to dismiss and much harder to control. Since Xi Jinping came to power in 2012, political control in China has become more centralized and more personal. What was once a collective leadership structure has shifted toward a system centered around one figure, one ideology, Xi Jinping thought. In 2018, that ideology was written into both the party and state constitutions. By 2021, it became mandatory curriculum, not just in universities, but in primary schools, middle schools, and vocational colleges across the country. Textbooks were revised, political education courses were expanded. Professors were warned this wasn't just content, it was a loyalty test. And that's the system Lin Ying and Han Shuangyan chose to challenge, not with loud protests or slogans, but with a single, signed statement, published in public view. In an environment where silence is the norm, they chose to be visible, and that's exactly what made it dangerous. Outside China, the manifesto quickly drew attention. Organizations like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International issued statements expressing concern for the professors' safety and calling on the Chinese government to clarify their status. Independent Chinese language media outlets overseas began investigating the case, sharing translated versions of the letter. On platforms like LinkedIn and X, formerly Twitter, scholars and civil society figures from around the world reposted the manifesto, labeling it an act of academic courage and comparing it to the dissent seen in pre-1989 China. But inside China, silence. No official response, no media coverage, no mention of Lin Ying or Han Shuangyan on state channels, and in a country where visibility can determine survival, that silence speaks volumes. So, is this the beginning of something bigger? Or is it just a spark, one that will be quickly extinguished? Right now, it's hard to say. Public political dissent in China is rare. Public intellectual dissent is even rarer. But the conditions for deeper frustration are there. In recent years, China has faced a slowing economy, record youth unemployment, growing restrictions on speech, and tighter surveillance in universities. And beneath the surface, there are signs of pressure building, not just among students or workers, but within the professional class, academics, lawyers, civil servants. Lin Ying and Han Shuangyan may not have intended to start a movement, but their action raises a quiet question inside many classrooms. If two professors can speak, even briefly, why not others? It would be easy to dismiss this moment. Two professors, one letter, no protests, no marches, no hashtags trending in China, but in a country where dissent is criminalized, silence isn't neutral, it's survival. That's why even a quiet act, like signing your name, can be revolutionary. What Lin Ying and Han Shuangyan did wasn't just speak out. They reminded the world that inside every closed society, there are still people willing to take risks for truth. And in doing so, they've joined a long and quiet tradition, one that stretches from Tiananmen to today. A tradition of memory, a tradition of resistance, a tradition of those who refuse to forget, even when they're told to stay silent. What do you think? Is this a rare act of bravery that will disappear, or the first sign of something deeper inside China's intellectual circles? Let us know in the comments.